do you navigate taxes within your business? And she's here. She's an expert. She's a orator. She is a writer. She has written books. She has blogs. And she's no other than Barbara Weltman. I've known her for the last couple of years, and her information is invaluable. Here, I think you need your pen and paper. Make sure you take down the information she's going to give you. It's going to be on the cutting edge. She's always up to date, and it's valuable for your business. I cannot say it any plainer. So, welcome, Barbara. Thanks for coming. And I think I had a little blue for Barbara. Let me make sure I don't neglect to do that. Stay informed. Barbara's topic is staying up on federal regulations from IRS, DOL, and more. In other words, she's saying stay informed on the latest federal regulations and ensure your business remains compliant with IRS, DOL, and other federal guidelines. And without further ado, Barbara, the floor is yours.
Thanks, Angela. I'm so glad to join you again. I don't know if this is our third time, or it's great to be here. And to everybody who's listening, okay, to everybody who's listening, many speakers that you will hear will help you get customers, deal with your money, and grow your business and such. And what I'm here for is kind of to help you know how to do things right so that you can run your business successfully and best of all, sleep at night. So that's kind of my goal. All right, can you help me share my screen? I can't hear you. You're muted. So if you're talking to me, I can't hear you.
I'm getting it up right now. Mm-hmm.
So why is okay? Let's see. Let me get this here. And
That's not it. That's not it.
is that good?
That's not it, Barbara. Sorry.
No.
Oh, what did I do?
There. Here, you want to put this where my pointer is to put that up. You got it?
I got it. Zoom.
Okay. Yes.
1 second.
It's up.
It's
One
up.
second. It's
Yeah.
Yes, it is. It is up.
Okay. So without further ado, I'm not going to waste your time. Anybody who wants a copy of the slides, you can just shoot me an email. I'll have my email at the end, and you can have the slides. You don't have to bother taking notes unless there's something particular. And I just want to, all right, now how am I going to advance the slides now? Angela, I can't seem to advance the slides. They're not working.
Okay. I may have to advance the slides.
Okay, okay. So let's go through them. So then the next slide is basically just,
Why is it 1 second? It's not doing it.
yeah, it's not doing it for me either.
Oh, that's pretty weird. Everyone, just hold on a minute. Let me check into my technical issues here. I'm gonna stop share. I'm out of view.
You know what? Instead of trying to figure out this technically, just go back to the original, just put me on full screen, and I'll talk from my slides, and anybody who wants the slides can get them from me. And I think that'll be the best thing, right?
Is she on now? Is she on now?
Yeah,
Yes.
that's fine. Do that.
You can see it?
You just went to the next slide for a moment.
Okay. Can you see your slide?
No, not the next slide. Oh, no, now, disclaimer.
Okay. So just a disclaimer, this is just for information purposes, and you can just see a little bit about me. I'm not going to do that. Let me just say, I want to explain what regulations are and how the federal regulations, There are regulations on the state and local level too, which I'm not going to get into, but I want to just kind of explain what's going on. So regulations are basically rules created by federal departments and agencies to interpret laws that Congress creates. And I'm not going to go through the numbers, but just take it from me. There are so many regulations every year, thousands, over 3,000 usually every year, and sometimes even more, just from the feds. So you need to know these rules so that you can set up policies and procedures in your business to make sure that you are compliant. And also, you want to know what the rules are, so you're not going to pay penalties. The penalties in some cases, as you'll see, are pretty stiff, and you don't want to waste your business dollars on paying penalties. And also, having to worry about this. Like I said, sleep better at night to know that you're compliant. Many of the rules apply when you have employees. So when you're just starting out, maybe you're the only employee, but sometimes the rules apply even if you are the only employee. Like I'm the only employee in my corporation, but many of the rules apply as well. So the first rule I just want to just mention is the independent contractor rule. And this means if you engage somebody in your business, is that person an employee or an independent contractor? You can't just slap a label on somebody. It really depends on the rules. And there are different rules for purposes of the Department of Labor, which controls minimum wage and overtime rules, versus the IRS, which controls employment taxes. And your head can spin on the different rules and in keeping track of everything. But just be aware that this rule exists, and a new rule from DOL went into effect in March. Although I have to tell you, there are already legal challenges to it. This has to do with freelance writers, truck drivers, construction workers, financial services people. They've filed lawsuits already. There are, I think, 4 challenges already in the federal courts. So whether the rules go into effect, they're in effect now, but whether they will continue, I don't know. But here, I'm just listed for you. There are factors that come into play in making this determination. It's up to you to make the decision. Nobody's going to tell you at the start whether you've made the right call as to whether you have an employee or an independent contractor. The problem is that misclassifying a worker can lead to a lot of problems. Just understand, there's no small employer exemption here. So if you have one employee besides yourself, you better be sure that you've got this right. You have to look at all of the issues here, the penalties that you could be subject to, liquidated damages, back pay, overtime, back benefits, all kinds of things if you are wrong. And just to mention here that the IRS uses a different test, a 3-factor test, and states use their own tests. Many states have what's called an ABC test. So just be aware that you really want to familiarize yourself with all the different tests. I mentioned overtime pay. Another rule that the DOL came out with is relates to overtime pay. So if you have an employee and you pay a salary, that employee may be exempt from overtime requirements. You may not have to pay overtime if the person is salaried and the person is what's considered executive, professional, administrative, an IT person, an outside salesperson. They can be exempt, but they have to have a minimum salary. And so what labor did was to increase the threshold for this exemption. The threshold is effective starting January 1. It's going to go up again on July. It's effective July 1 rather of this year. It's going to go up again on January 1, and they've added to this new rule an automatic increase every 3 years. So this is something just to pay attention to. Think about how does this, if you have employees now, how does this affect your current pay? If you're going to want to increase the salaries for certain employees to make them exempt, what does that do to the all of everybody else working for you? Are you going to increase pay for them? And how does this affect your budget? I mean, you got to think about it. Another rule. The Pregnant Workers Fairness Act became effective last year, but there's now a final rule from EEOC that goes into effect in June. And what this means is that you are an employer that must provide reasonable accommodations for employees that fall into these categories. So I know for me, when I was pregnant twice, I had terrible morning sickness 2 times, and this is before this law, and I had a very understanding boss, and I used to come into the office and basically put my head down on the desk for a long time until I could get back to work, and that was great. But now it's the law. You got to make reasonable accommodations. So what does that mean? Well, maybe it's additional breaks or reassignments, or maybe even allowing telework if that's not the usual arrangement, or giving time off after childbirth or a miscarriage. And so just understand what the reasonable accommodations are. It only applies technically to an employer with 15 or more employees. But I suggest that even if you're a small employer, you want to offer these accommodations. Why? Well, besides that it's just a good thing to do, in today's workplace, in the labor market, it's very hard for small employers to attract and retain employees. There's a lot of competition out there for good people. And so offering these kinds of benefits, if you will help you compete in the marketplace for good workers and help you retain them. The law allows you not to make a reasonable accommodation if it would impose an undue hardship. Exactly what that is, we don't know. Many states already have these rules on the books, and they apply to smaller employers. So I'm covering the federal rules, but don't ignore the fact that there may be existing state rules that you have to follow.
Am I on the right slide? Wait a minute. Wait.
Okay. So another thing that came into effect, or it's going to become effective in September, because there was 180 days from when the rule was adopted, deals with non-compete agreements. A non-compete agreement is an agreement that a company makes with a worker saying, if you leave, you can't set up a competing business within a certain area for a certain time. So within the same town, within the same town, maybe for a year or for 90 days or whatever. The FTC rule says non-compete agreements, they're void, except for senior executives. So for the rank and file employee, your business, they can put in a clause saying you can't set up a competing agreement across a competing business across the street. Just like some of the other rules, there are already lawsuits challenging this. So again, stay tuned, stay alert, watch what's happening. All right, IRS rules. I think you mentioned that I would do taxes, and taxes is kind of my sweet spot here. Just so you know, you've probably heard about federal tax credits for buying clean vehicles, whether they're new, pre-owned, or commercial. And there are different tax credits available. So for the new clean vehicle credit, there's a total credit of $7,500, but it's broken down depending on whether you meet battery and critical mineral requirements. And so the rules detail what that all means. Another aspect for these new credits is the ability of you as the buyer to basically sell your credit to the dealer. So you can do this right at the time of purchase, and it'll cut your purchase price or your down payment or whatever. So the IRS rule provides clarity on this transferability. I just want to point out that this has been in effect, this opportunity to sell the credit to the dealers has been in effect, but there's a lot of paperwork involved, and just be prepared. And not only do you need the VIN numbers, but you have to you have to sign a statement to the dealer saying that you expect your income to be within a certain amount, because there's an income limit for eligibility for this credit. And the dealer has to give you information saying, the purchase price of the vehicle and such, because there are limits on what for the credit on the price of the vehicle. So there's a lot of technical things involved. The IRS rule clarifies some. I will tell you that there are extensive FAQs on the IRS website that answer a lot of the issues that I've kind of raised a little bit. Again, here's the fact. This is a fact sheet link that you can use to find more information about this. All right, I think I saved the best for last, and I want to talk, kind of extensively about this, because it may affect you, even if you're the only person in your business. So it's referred to as beneficial ownership information reporting. What this is in 2021, I believe, Congress passed what's called the Corporate Transparency Act, because they perceive that there are a lot of bad actors out there engaged in sex trafficking, drug trafficking, money laundering, and all other kind of bad acts. And they said, well, how can we find out who's doing this? And they said, well, let's create a law here. And the law says that businesses that have to be formed under their state, file papers with their Secretary of State, have to report to us and tell us who they are. So this rule, which went into effect in January, affects limited liability companies, corporations, whether you're a C corporation or an S corporation. It doesn't impact independent contractors. It doesn't impact general partnerships, because those businesses do not have to file with their state. If you are subject to this rule, you have to file with FinCEN. FinCEN is shorthand for the Treasury's Financial Crimes Enforcement Network. FinCEN, that's what FinCEN means. You don't need a professional to help you. There's no cost to the registration. You can do it yourself. You need a driver's license or passport, some official document that you can show who you are. And it's a one-time thing, basically. You just have to do it. There are deadlines for reporting. So if your business if you had a corporation or an LLC in effect in 2023, you have all of 2024 to do this. If you are forming a new business in 2024, for example, you're a sole proprietorship now and you want to incorporate and become an S corporation, you have 90 days to do this. Starting next year, you only have 30 days from the time you formed your business to file with FinCEN. If there's a change in ownership that you need to inform Treasury about, you have 30 days. So watch the clock. Don't let this go. But let me just tell you a little more. Another type of business that doesn't have to report, this law is aimed at the smallest businesses. It's kind of unfair, I think. That's just my opinion. It's not a legal opinion. It's just a personal opinion that because corporations with revenues of more than $5 million, more than 20 full-time employees, and a physical office in the U.S. don't have to do it. Well, that's a lot of businesses that are exempt. So it's really just the very small corporation, the very small LLC that has to do this. If you don't do this, the penalties can be very severe. You can go to jail for failing to do this. And I don't, this is under the, remember, financial crimes auspices of the Treasury. So they're not fooling around here. The good news is that there are, I think, from my perspective, is that there are ongoing challenges to the law. There's lawsuits already filed, and there are efforts in Congress to repeal it. This law was meant not only for domestic businesses, but also for foreign entities. And I raised the question, how many foreign businesses are going to really do this? Do they care? How are you going to get them to go to jail if they're living overseas? So I wonder the effectiveness of the business and how punitive it really can be. How do you find out about all of this? I mean, these rules, if there are 3,000 plus regulations every year, how do you know what's going on? And that's really a challenge. So I have resources listed here for you to so that you can so that you can kind of stay informed. These are free resources. Take advantage of them. Sign up for them. Look at them. Follow them. It's 2 seconds in the morning to see if there's anything that's come through in your email that may be helpful to you. Keep in touch with your advisors, your CPA, your accountant, your attorney, to see, they should inform you of anything that is developing. Also, I offer free resources. I have an idea.
What does this look like?
I don't. Somebody was talking. Okay, so
like nothing, huh?
I offer the idea of the day, which comes into your email every morning, and a monthly newsletter with a collection of blogs for the month that do cover a lot of the developments. And what I'm giving away for
I haven't
free.
styled it anyway. I'm just pulling it out.
Oh, I thought that was the style you were showing.
No.
Okay.
Okay. What I'm giving away for free is I've created a new 150 plus tax deductions for small business. I had hoped that it was going to be posted by today. Technically, we had a technical issue, so it hasn't been posted yet. Anybody who wants it can email me, and I will send it to them, and I will also enroll you to receive the idea of the day. See if it's helpful. If it's not helpful, you can certainly unsubscribe at any time. But I think you'll find it helpful. And this is how you can reach me. So here's my email. Email me. I will see that you get this 150 plus small business tax deductions and that you get on my email list. Angela, I can take some questions. You're muted, Angela.
Thank you. Now everyone's here. It wasn't that interesting.
Yeah, I didn't lose anybody.
Was that not very interesting, everyone?
You gained a person.
I'm not hearing anything. I don't see hands. I don't see anything.
Yeah, I just want to make. I'm glad that I was clear enough that you kind of understood what I was saying. Thank you. It's not a fun topic. People love the topics like Mr. Miles, it was a great, people want to know about social media, and it's so interesting, or your dollars and cents and your finances. And I understand that, but unfortunately, it's just a fact of life that you have to deal with the feds in various ways. We all know you have to do your taxes, but when you're running a business, you have to deal with a lot of rules and regulations, and keeping up with what they are can save you, avoid penalties and save you a lot of grief. And that's kind of my message to everybody. Just, devote a little bit of a time and attention to federal regulations.
Excellent. Excellent. And I know you guys may think it's very painful, but it's painful and necessary.
Yeah.
Not like,
It's not necessarily that painful, although I will say, you can see in the slides that there's a tremendous compliance cost, and it falls more heavily on small business than it does on large businesses. Large businesses have all these departments to deal with everything. They have an accounting department to deal with the tax matters. They have an HR department to deal with all of the regulations that affect employees. Small business owners have to do all of this themselves, and and they're not billing for it. They're not bringing in sales while they're devoting their time to addressing regulatory compliance. But it's something you have to do.
fantastic. Excellent, excellent presentation, Barbara, as usual. I love your presentation.
I have a question.
I have someone here who has a question, but if she turns on her mic, she's gonna mess everyone up.
Okay.
Miss Susan, what's your question?
Okay, yeah, can you hear me?
Yes, I can hear you, Susan.
Okay, perfect, perfect. So a long time ago, years ago, I took out an LLC. And now when I'm really getting serious about my coaching business, the work that I'm doing with Angela, I really would like to I don't know how you say it, but I want to know about that LLC. Is it really legitimate? And I don't know how to find it. Can you help me?
First of all, if your LLC has been dormant for all these years, I don't know the status that it is, but you can find out by contacting your Secretary of State in the state that you formed your LLC, and they will tell you. And the thing is, I don't know about you, but I'm in Florida, and I have to pay an annual fee for my S corporation. We're not taxed. It's a business registration fee every year, and if you haven't done that all these years, I don't know what the result will be. So you might want to ask a legal professional in your area. You don't want to call the state and trigger all those back fees if you haven't been paying them, if there's something that you owe. So get good advice before you proceed. Or
Okay,
alternatively, you can always ask questions in the hypothetical. What would happen if you call up? What would happen if and you might get some information without respect to your particular LLC.
I understand. Thank you very much. That's helpful. Thank you.
Okay, everyone. Thank you so much, Barbara, as usual.
Bye-bye.
You're right on time. And like we said, Barbara has her information there. Do put your information in the chat so our speakers can